morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Let me move the microphone to in front of me. I hope you have had a wonderful week. It is Sunday night and it is time for another live stream. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Wiki, what I've updated. I will be updating you every week on what's changed on that as we move forward. We're going to talk about flight controllers because the price of flight controllers has come down and there are actually some really interesting options out there, not only from the likes of SpeedyB, who have really been pushing the price in, but Flywoo are doing the same as well because they sent me a package of some stuff this week to take a look at. I'm also going to be upsetting loads of people by sharing with you my initial experience with OpenIPC. Now, if you don't know what OpenIPC is, it is this famed cheapest digital FPV system that is available on the market. And whilst I'm not going to be talking about its performance in flight because I can't, because I haven't managed to get it in the air yet, I am going to be catching you up to where I am today, including all of the mishaps that I've had, and share with you some opinions on what the project is as far as I have personally seen it so far, and where I think it could end up in the future. But again, they are going to be opinions. I also want to talk a little bit about the GoPro Naked, which Flywoo have sent me as well. Really interesting, actually. Haven't tried one of the Naked GoPros. And I also want some advice from you guys on Unifi, because I'm tempted, I'm looking to replace my patchwork of CCTV systems, Wi-Fi networks, routers, and I'm leaning on Ubiquiti. And whilst it up front doesn't look cheap, it actually isn't terrible when you add it all in. And if there's any Ubiquiti users here, please do let me know what you think. As much on this, I am a Ring doorbell user and I want to cut it up with a grinder as a result of the frankly insane price hike that they've leveraged on users this week in the UK. For those who don't know, you used to pay, it was only like £20 a year for the recording capability. They upped it to like £30 a year, and they've just announced that they are going to be charging £50 a year in the UK for the recording functionality. And frankly, I would rather set it on fire than give Ring, who I believe is now owned by Amazon. I think they're owned by Amazon. Aren't Ring owned by Amazon? And set it on fire than give them that £50 a year. And I'm leaning towards Ubiquiti simply as a result of a recommendation from a user. And the more I've looked into it, the more I'm liking what I'm seeing. But as with all things, you see some good and you see some bad. But what I'm looking for is a non-subscription based system. And that's where I'm leaning. Now, as for anything else, it has been a rather interesting week in the world of FPV in the sense of there's not a lot been going on, but there's actually been loads going on. And most of it I can't tell you about. I hope everyone is safe and well. I hope wherever you are in the world, you are doing okay. I'm just getting the chat up to make sure everything is working on my side. What's happened on YouTube? They've changed how it all looks. Okay, that's a bit stupid. I don't like that. Okay. There we go. Now, as always, we will try and answer your questions along the way as well tonight. If you do have any questions, put them in the chat and I'll try and get to them. Super chats are not needed for me to answer a question. However, they are welcome. We might need them with the release of something that might be coming soon. And if you'd like to support the channel, there is a link to Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee in the description. Now, we're going to start off by saying a big hello to everyone. Hello to everyone in the chat. Darkman was here first. I'm not even repeating what he said, but he was here first. Hello, Darkman. TS13FPV, Raven. I'm going to get everyone. Bobby Bags. Hello, Failsafe. Hello, Failsafe. I'm going to talk about you in a minute. And yes, hello to everyone here. Now, overall, it's been a fairly quiet week. Hello, Captain Bright. How are you? It's been a fairly quiet week in FPV, although there is news rumbling under the surface. And I suspect OpenIPC, the Express ELRS of HD. No. I'm going to be polite and just say no. More, if you're going to, no. Just no. Not going there yet. We'll do that in a minute. Just no. OpenIC is about as far from being the Express ELRS of FPV that I can think of at the moment. But anyways. So yeah, it's been a rather quiet week overall. However, I think this week, you may be getting some news for those who are interested in new DJI products around this. Let me just get it. New DJI products that look like this. New DJI products that look a lot like this. You might be getting some news this week. Probably not from DJI, but wait and see. Now, as for... Let me just go to the... Oh, no, that one. Let's go to the full so you can see. Let's go. There may be some news this week. And for those on my Patreon, I did share some thoughts, is what I shared earlier. No, but I suspect we might start to see some images this week. No, I don't have one. But for those who like the Avatar, now might be a good time to sell. And I wouldn't bother holding on to your batteries. You're not going to need them. I wouldn't bother holding on to batteries. You're probably going to be buying new ones, is what I'll say. John Goblin, how has that latency been tested? Because if that's been tested with a camera reading a timer on a screen, until it's tested with 1,000 frames a second camera, we won't really know how it behaves. That's what I'm hoping to do next week. As for when something new from DJI, probably April now. It's a bit further out, I think, than anyone expected. It's going to take a little bit of time. The hints I'm going to lay at you is this. If you take the DJI Goggles 2 and you take a set of Integras and mash them together and make a few changes, that's what I would expect from the next set of goggles. Obviously with some cameras on the front as well, because we've discussed about cameras before. But what I would say is take a set of these, take a set of Integras, mash them together. So what was the bad bits on this? Well, the bad bits are the touchpad. No one likes the touchpad. The joystick is better on the Integras. The lenses are better on here. Yeah. Internal battery, I think, might get some people, but we'll have to wait and see. So, but yeah, I suspect there'll be more news this week, and then it'll be ready to share. But it's going to be, are they going to have HDMI out? No chance. Right, stop. People need to stop thinking DJI are going to give you features that you want. DJI don't care about you having HDMI out. They have a way for you to do it. They'll sell you $1,000 remote controller if you really need it. But they ain't going to do it from the goggles. I don't see it. I don't know, but I don't expect it. I don't expect it. But for people who like the Avatar, as I said, if you've got one and... Yeah, look, the only way I've learned with John is measuring latency, and I've done it every way, is with 1,000 frames a second camera. And what I learned is there's two, until you fully understand how the frame is delivered and how it goes, we won't really understand the latency. And that's what I'm hoping to do once I ever get it actually bloody working. Every measure that I've seen has been over 100 milliseconds. Any measure that I've seen that works properly, I've seen over 100 milliseconds, but I haven't tested it myself yet. If they've managed to get, say 50 to 60 in 720p 60, they're actually doing quite well. I'll be quite impressed, I'll be honest. But we'll talk about my experience with the project in a minute. And some people are not going to like what I got to say, because some of it is shite and the project is a freaking mess, and right now it should be avoided at all costs unless you have more time on your hands and you're willing to poke yourself in the eyes with a spoon multiple times. But I'll come on to that opinion a bit more later on. But yeah, so for DJI users, I would expect hopefully some news this week, but don't get too excited. There's no O4E unit around the corner. We don't know about that. I don't even know if we're going to get an O4E unit this year. There's lots around the corner. In what ways must it be better than the Avatar? Well, look, that's really easy, right? Just follow DJI's track record. It's probably got a bigger sensor, same sensor as Action 4. It'll have probably very close to 20 minutes of flight time. It will be a redesign in a new package. That's what DJI have done. Just look what they do on their minis. Just follow the spec. Better camera sensor. Bigger camera sensor. Longer flight time. Better range. That's all DJI ever delivers in their new drones. They don't really do anything else other than that these days. I just hope whatever it is, it's as bomb-proof. Oh, and it'll be a bit of a new colour. How do you like silver? Anyways, moving on. But I've known about that for a long time. But let's see. Hopefully this week there might be news. There may be news this week. So let's wait and see. Now, before we get into everything else, but if you got one of these, it'd be a good time to sell it. So, just to update you guys quickly, and there will be a video coming on this week. For those of you who don't know, I do have a wiki where I do put stuff up, which is FPV Wiki. This week, I finally got all of the proper images of the Moonlight VTX kit. I've completely redone everything for the Moonlight VTX. If you go onto the Avatar Moonlight, we now have all of the images from compared to the pre-release, compared to the final release. There will actually be a video on this Tuesday where I tear down the production VTX, and there is a difference. They've changed the voltage regulator in the VTX compared to the production one. We don't actually know what the regulator is right now, so they've changed it from what was on the pre-production, which is this board here. So if we click on that, you can see the number up there is BQ, I think it's EOU or QU, and the new regulator is BQDWD, and I suspect that they've increased the spec on that regulator, and what they've also done is completely horsed the public VTX full of thermal compound. Okay, they've just loaded it with thermal compound, but all of the new images are up, including the teardown inside, as well as the proper images of the VTX. Now, the production one, I was able to get the VTX out of. I couldn't get it out of my pre-production one. It is the same VTX as you have on the V2. You can see it there. And I've also put a custom image there of the regulator, just so it's there for everyone to see when they end up burning it out, because it will. So that's been updated. There will be another video coming on that in the near future. What I've also done, there's not a lot else done, but I have been expanding the list of FPV channels. There's a lot more been added. There's a lot more to add. So as I showed this last week, we've got a lot more on there. We've got Painless, Lehman, Captain Bry's on there. Look at that. Link to Captain Bry's channel is on there as well. Rotor Riot, Lemon, Andy RC, Albert Kim, Captain Vanover, Archie Shim, Mr. Shuttlebug. Look, my intention is to list all of these, as many channels on here as I can. I haven't done them all yet. There's one or two channels I've chosen I won't be listing, but other than that, pretty much everyone is there. There is also this section at the bottom, which is probably going to get me in trouble, but I've been very clear on this, what it says, and what I've written is this: brand associated channels. And I'm going to explain my opinion on this, and whether people agree or not is another one. Now, brand associated channels are channels that have a very clear attachment to a brand. I'm not saying they're paid for by the brand. I'm not saying they're staff. I'm not saying they are completely biased, but I'm also saying they have a very real link. And for instance, Ryan is a tester. He doesn't work for HDZero. I've spoke to Ryan a number of times. He's a lovely guy on messaging, but he is a HDZero tester. And my point is this. What I have said is this. These are channels that have an association to a specific brand. They may or may not be staff, paid, unpaid testers, sponsored pilots, or have some other link. This is not meant to be negative or derogatory towards the person or the brand. However, I have chosen to list these separately as their content or opinions may not be impartial. And I think that is as fair as I can be on that. Look, Ryan is a great guy, but he is a HDZero guy. He's never going to deny that, in the sense of he makes HDZero content. We all thank Ryan for the work he does, but I wanted to list it in a very specific way. Now, he is the only one there at the moment. Technically, Chris Rosso will end up under there as well for his own frames and motors, but that's going to take some explaining. But that's the theory with that. And probably I can think of like Evan Turner would go under there for Orqa, because 555 are very close to Orqa. I can't think of anyone else at the moment, but I could be being silly. But yeah, look, the list isn't finished, but I've stolen their images. Copyright claim. If you want me to take your image down, please send me a message. But I have all of these are links to the channels, so when you click on them, JB and Radio Master and QVS. Look, JB is not associated with Radio Master, in the sense of no more than anyone else. But these are links, so when you click on them, so if we go to this little gentleman over here, if we click on this one, as you see here, it will take it to there. Rotor Riot is an interesting one, and I haven't quite decided how to do that. But yes, Rotor Riot is owned by Red Cat. Ken Heron is on there. Ken is there. Ken is there. If you didn't see, Ken is down here somewhere. There he is. Ken is there. You might want to try refreshing your browser. Ken, I have put Ken on there. I've got no reason not to put Ken on there. Rotor Riot is there, but they are a complicated one to list. They're predominantly a retailer. Look, are Rotor Riot associated with Fat Shark? Yes, without doubt. But Rotor Riot is also a retailer, and their biggest benefit is selling products, not just selling Fat Shark products. So I think it gets a little bit mixed. So that's the wiki. It's been updated. There's more stuff to go on there next week. As I work through it slowly, it takes a bit of time. Rotor Riot is associated with Rotor Riot. I'm going to upload the additional links on here as well, and there's lots of other stuff to add on here over time as well, which I'll be doing in the next week or so. The first radio will go on there this week as well. The first radio teardown. I'm not allowed to show you that until tomorrow, but someone already has a review up about it. So, I believe if you go to YouTube, search for T14, there's, that's interesting. Has it been taken down? Aha! It's been taken down, is it? Someone had a review up about this already. Ah, there you go, look. It's vanished. I've done the T20 already. The reviews, the T20 reviews are done. But Bardwell, Bot Grinder, Rosser, FPV University, Rotor Riot. Bardwell has his own frame, but I've seen nothing to suggest Bardwell would ever be directly tied to a brand. I have a T20, runs forever on two S21-700s. I hate the latching buttons and gimbals. Yes, so there was a review of it up this week that's now been taken down. Because it was definitely up. But it's no longer there. So, that video will go live tomorrow. Yes. Okay, so just catching up on the chat a minute. I think, but look, with regards to the list, Bardwell has some signature products. Bardwell doesn't, though, only do stuff. Look, I firmly believe Bardwell is as completely unbiased towards a Radio Master radio as he would a jumper radio, even though he has his Joshua Bardwell editions. I don't personally have an issue there. I think Chris is more challenging because Chris makes his own products. And I mean manufactures and sells his own products. JB's still a cast member, right? I believe. Yeah. Ross is the complicated one because he definitely makes his own products. 100%. Rotor Riot is by association. The problem is you then got to start. I think Rosser, Rotor Riot, probably. Yeah, as Cinny Kenneth has just said, branded skin for an already released product is different to anything they own. That 100%, and that's where I lean on it as well. So, you know, but yes, so that's done. That'll be updated this week. Now, I saw something in the chat. Just catching up. FPV University isn't. Pavel's got no products, is he? We should really be forcing his frames on people. Yes, I was flying the AOS 5 today, in fact, with the Supernova motors. I was trying to get my last few tests done before I make the video on that. And look, as I've said already, they're nice motors. Are they much better than the Zings? No, I didn't think Pavel had any products. I didn't think. Other than INAV. Because you could largely argue it's his. Or at least he's one of the main faces of it, as a name. Okay, so the first subject we're going to talk about very quickly is flight controllers, because there has been a lot of... Ooh, I've had a message request. What's this? Ignore that a minute. Oh, that was earlier on. Sorry. There has been a lot of price increases over the last few years in flight controllers, and that pushed everyone towards trying to find cheaper and lower cost options. We then had the introduction of AT32. However, what we have seen is pricing begin to come down, and we first started to see this with SpeedyBee, but we're now starting to see it with other people such as Flywoo. Now, Flywoo have just released, well, they've not just released these, but they've got them on sale, which is their Groku series of stacks. And I'm not going to spend too much time on these because there will be a video. But look, I was sent these two from Flywoo to take a look at, which is their flight stacks, which is the Groku Mini, the Mini. So we've got the F722 Mini, and then we've got the F722 full size, okay? So they're both BL Heli S ESCs. They're both F722s. They both have an absolute crap ton of I/O on both of them. They both support I2C, both support analog OSD, both have 2 BECs, both can even control your VTX power output when on the 10-volt line. Both have USB-C, LED ports, and a whole host of features. What's really interesting about these, though, is the price, because these controllers, if I just go to Flywoo's website, right, these are on discount at the moment. Their pricing is, as someone has just said, really incredible. You've got the full-size stack for £57 in the UK, and the mini stack for below £50. Now, yes, as someone has already said, F722s, but in Betaflight world today, with cloud builds, it's not end of the world. As a cheap stack, it's still not end of the world. You can still turn stuff off. Remember that. We're not in the position we were a little while ago. How's the ESC, though? Amps. So one is the 50, and one is the 40. So the stack size, if you look on the ESCs, so you've got 40 amp and 50 amp. They're both BL Heli S, so it is worth taking that into account. I haven't looked if these can be flashed with Blue Jay yet, because obviously if it's BL Heli S, you're not going to have RPM filtering. No, you're not going to have RPM filtering. But it's still a really good deal. The pricing is incredible. Now, what shocked me is just the amount of I/O on these. Okay, if I just go to the overhead and zoom in a minute. The I/O on this flight controller is ridiculous. Right? You have all pads, right, for every port. So every port is padded out underneath if you want it. Also, and this is the first time I've seen this, and I will talk about this in the review, they've even padded out the USB-C port. That is really good. I've not seen anyone else do that, and they've padded out the USB-C port, which is cool. You've got 2 BECs, 2 amp, 10 volt and 5 volt, which is good to see. It's got I2C on board as well. Both of them have I2C on board. And the 10 volt BEC is switchable in Betaflight 2. Now, this one has the MPU 6000 and this one has the ICM gyro. They're not the same gyro on both. But what's actually incredible is the Mini is really very, very similar. Still, again, both analog OSD. Oh, both 16 gigs onboard black box storage as well, by the way. Both have the BECs. Really incredible. Up to 8 motor outputs. Really, really good deal. Really, really good deal. So, we are starting to see flight controller pricing come down. The big ESC, yes, there's a barrow on board both. Barrow on both as well. The big ESC feels really nicely made too. No complaints. Nice thick copper pads. Really thick PCB too. No issues there. And again, everything padded out, which is nice to see. And they do that on the Mini one too. F405 is largely a better choice, yes. However, it does come with a capacitor in the box as well, yes. And look, for the money, I think it's a great deal. Now, I didn't even know these existed. They actually sent me them, just to be clear. They did send me them. They're very nice controllers. Not seen white PCBs as well. And someone just noticed it. Type said they're cleanly built. They are. Look at this board. This board's really nicely laid out. Really tidily done. 30 by 30 and a 20 by 20. Loads of space on this. Do you know what it reminds me of? It does remind me of a Maytech board. You tend to notice Maytech boards have a lot of space. And this tends to as well. But yeah, really, really nice and done. Now, yes, 722 isn't the best in the world. But with cloud builds now, you can turn off the stuff. The new Mamba F Mark V 435 with 55 amp LES is 52. Look, it'll be a good controller. The new Mamba Mark V. Yeah, it'll be another good controller. What you're seeing is lots of people getting cheaper controllers. The 435 will be a faster CPU, without doubt. The 435 is a faster CPU. It's got more memory. It is in many ways a better option. But STM is still the preferred option overall. It's really good to see, because if you add that, then if we look at, you got Flywoo with these, and like the flight controllers on their own are actually really quite cheap. This surprised me, actually. So the full-size board on its own is £32. That's only like £7 more than the 435. And then it's $28.50 for the 722 standalone mini, which is great value. Great value. They've also got some good deals on their other controllers as well. I don't know if they clear in stock. I can't comment. But their pricing is looking really quite... Look at this. GN405 for 31. What is that? F405 BGA. Is that an STM chip? Wow. That must be an STM. But obviously, these are not the only ones. We do have SpeedyBee, who are absolutely smashing it with regards to flight controllers as well. Yeah, ball grade package. You got SpeedyBee, who are really cheap on their flight controllers. Look, down to $45, $34, $35 on some of them. They're stacks. Okay, still some pricing over here. For your wang, Super Deluxe is sticking a SpeedyBee on his wang. And then you've got the Mambas. So what are we saying? We got the Mamba Mark V. Diatone official. So is it this one we're talking about? $42? Mamba Stack 435 anti-interference ICM 42688P and a 55 amp 8-bit ESC. Yeah, that's not a bad deal at all. Not bad at all. Now, obviously, the only downside to BL Heli S is that you don't have RPM filtering. I've lost track. What happened with that custom version of BL Heli S? Does anyone remember? Was there not a custom version of BL Heli S that had RPM filtering? I swear there was. Blue Jay. I know about Blue Jay, obviously, but I thought there was a customized BL Heli S build with RPM filtering as well. So we've got people saying BL Heli M. I have it on all my quads. So Rushy saying, yeah, Blue Jay is very good. I installed Blue Jay on a quad this week. But I thought there was a release version of BL Heli S that had it. It was a long time ago. $5 JESC license. I need to dig up on this because I've lost track of this and it has come up before. Blue Jay is free. So you want to do Blue Jay. I just don't know, do these ESCs support Blue Jay? I assume they do, Does BlueJ publish the list of ESCs that are supported? Or does BlueJ just basically work on... Do they publish? I can't remember. BL-HeliS 16.71. Someone is saying. Any BL Helis. It is any heli. Wasn't it Jess that was charging? I've lost that side of things. BlueJ is a fork, yes. So supports all BL Heli ESCs, yes. Yes, because it's got to. Because BL Heli S isn't, I'm being an idiot here. BL Heli S hasn't been updated for like ever. Therefore, if it works on BL Heli S, it has to work on BlueJ because it has to be compatible. Yes, used. I'm thinking of things the wrong way round. When was the last release of BL Heli S? Anyone know? Let's have a look. What was the actual last release of BL Heli S? Now, this is a fork. That's Beta Flight BL Heli S. Bitdump BL Heli. When was the last release? Yeah, it's a long time, isn't it? See, the last revision of BL Heli 32 is there. But what about BL Heli S? So BL Heli, I've always found it quite convoluted, the whole BL Heli situation. See, even look, even the releases is all over the place. Look at this on BL Heli. You've got BL Heli Suite 32. There's like no information. It's really annoying. I really find it annoying the way this has ended up. So it's. Can you explain the difference or what the naming scheme is so confusing? So, BL Heli S is on 8-bit microcontrollers. It was the original open source flight controller software by Bitdump. Okay? When we transitioned to BL Heli to 32-bit microcontrollers, we then ended up with BL Heli 32. However, that then became a licensable product to the ESC manufacturers. It was no longer open source. So, BL Heli S was open source and designed to run on 8-bit microcontrollers and remained open source. BL Heli S, BL Heli 32 was 32-bit and became closed source, and basically ESC makers have to pay BL Heli or Bitdump for using it. The problem is there is like all of the information for BL Heli S has been obfuscated as far as I can tell. So if you come here and look at this, right? This is the BL Heli project. I still run 32B because it feels better. You got a BL Heli, right? Under here is BL Heli S code for S Labs because that's the 8-bit controller. Yet there is no revision history under here. There is nowhere that I've seen that I can find proper revision history for the open source project. It's all been buried and hidden and taken down. I remember I've still got Simon K ESCs. And then when you go under releases, you just have one release. There's no history. You can have the latest BL Heli suite, and that's what you're having. And GitHub is user... Yeah, it's not, but... Look, we can go back on all the other projects and see everything. And look, it's a bloody mess. And I think... It's a mess. Yeah. Super Deluxe said earlier. It is absolutely a mess. Now, BlueJ is... If you don't know what BlueJ is, it's moved on from where BL-Heli-S stopped. Because remember, they moved on to BL-Heli-32, which they were getting paid for. BL-Heli-S stopped, and sort of BlueJ is carried on from where that was. And if we then look at BlueJ, this is where BlueJ is today. So already, it was based on Heli-S 16.7. And it adds bidirectional D-shot, RPM filtering, all the usual stuff. If we look at releases, look at this. Look, I want to see the releases. There we go. All of the versions listed nicely with all of the release notes. Yes, you've got the... I'll show that in a minute. But all listed very nicely for everyone. MagFPV, how are you? I did PWM frequency testing, so this is a pre-release that is already in the works. So, BlueJ doesn't work on BL-Heli-32 ESC. Correct. That is where AM32 comes in. If you've heard of AM32, AM32 is the open source 32-bit ESC software, but it isn't based on BL-Heli-S because that isn't open source. AM32 is an open source 32-bit ESC. So, the quickest way to explain this, BL-Heli-S, open source for 8-bit microcontrollers. BlueJ, where BL-Heli-S stopped because they moved on to BL-Heli-32. BlueJ is continued and it is based on the same project, just like Betaflight is based on Clean Flight and all of that stuff. BL-Heli-32 is closed source. AM32 is the open source ESC software that is in the works. But obviously that's like a from scratch program. That's the problem. Now, the great thing about BlueJ is the configurator. Someone he's put it on the live chat as he put the link there for me. It's quicker than me finding it. For those who don't know, BlueJ has this fantastic configurator, which is ESC configurator, which you can go to, and it will allow you to flash your ESCs and even create lovely tunes for it as well. So that is available. I haven't really looked at where AM32 is today. I haven't actually looked at that for a while. I don't know where the project is. SkyStars have been a company who've been doing it. Isn't it still flashed by an ESC configurator, AM32? I've not actually tried AM32. Yes, it is. So it still does it here. So if we look at the AM32 here, what an absolute mess. It's like Intel with their ESC naming schemes. Oh, yeah, so freaking... Here we go. And we're already, look, on AM32 version 2.01. And AM32 is here. You can see it. These are the compatible ESCs. So you can see all of them there. And I'm hearing good things about AM32. But the AM32 project is a hard one because it's having to start again. I don't know, and if anyone does know in the chat, let me know. Was there a basis for AM32, or did it start from the beginning? Something I don't actually know. Do they actually say here? From scratch. I thought it was, but I just wanted to be sure. Yeah, so it has been from scratch. And that's the hard part. you got to take into account, right? Blue Jay carried on where BL Heli S finished. It was an open source project and carried on, whereas AM32 is from scratch. So yeah, that's where we're at with ESCs. It's a bloody mess. I don't particularly like running Blue Jay these days. Sorry, not Blue Jay. BL Heli S. I always flash them with I always flash them with Blue Jay. I don't tend to run BL Heli S. You know, Speedy B, you've got this one, which is the BL Heli S. Overhead, you've got this one, which is the BL Heli S. You know, this is the 46S 8-bit. So it's just an 8-bit microcontroller. 8-bit instead of 32. But it's still not really clear. Last I heard, AM32 was a one-way trip. Yeah, actually, I recall that. Or at least it's not easy to go back. Thinking about it. I need to look back into that. It's been a while. I've been sort of letting AM32 bubble along. It's not all, you don't always want to be on these straight away. You know, there's some stuff to work out. Now, whilst we were talking about Flywoo, I do also want to talk about this because they sent me, and this was a bit of a surprise actually. And I am going to be doing a review on this because Flywoo have sent me over their new action camera kit for GoPro. Now, they did have an original one, and let me just find it. Ah, yeah, that's the problem. You can't get the bootloader back. That's right. So if I just go to Flywoo a minute, and we go back to the desktop, and if we search for GoPro, Flywoo had their original GoPro kits, which were these ones here, okay? But they've now got this new metal one, which they've released here, which is for varying versions. They make it for the 9, the 10, the 11, the 12, with and without the touchscreen. They make it in all of the versions. The one they've sent me is the 9. I'm guessing they've got stock of the 9. But they do it in all of the other versions as well, all the way up to 12 Pro. Now, let me just get this out to show you. This is very well done. When I had a quick look at this, and I haven't tried it yet, I haven't fired it up yet. It came in Friday, and I was like, oh, bloody hell, what's this? I actually thought they were sending me the kit, not the actual unit, but they've actually sent a modified unit. It's in full CNC metal. What's really nice about this though, and the first thing I noticed, was the bracketry. Now, in the box, they include a little metal bracket, which you can mount for your GoPro mount, and they also give you a 3D printed mount as well. But the real cool thing is, look at the positions. You can mount it there, or there, as well as there, and there. And what's cool about this is you can actually mount it so your camera is directly centered on your quad. So the lens goes straight down the middle and you can mount it there like that. Now they also have, it is full CNC metal. They've got this external connector here for power, connected to a battery for updating the firmware. There is the SD card slot on the side. You've got the removable lenses on the front, but they also include this CNC LCD display module as well. I'll be honest, someone just said Flywoo have really upped their game. They really have. Now this is a CNC display module, aluminium, and then this clips onto the back like that there, allowing you to control it if you want to. Obviously you're not using that in flight. Hopefully the back doesn't pop like the old ones. Yeah, hopefully it's definitely improved. But overall, I have to say, it is a really solid kit. Aluminium. They really do seem to be doing some nice stuff to Flywoo. The boards, I tell you something, right? The boards on that flight controller are really good. No, this is the GoPro 9, but they do also do it in the 12 as well. They've sent me the 9, but they do it in the 12. It's available in the 9, the 10, the 11, and 12. They've just sent it to me in the 9 because they obviously don't want to spend that much money. Same case fits the 9 to 12. Yes, that's correct. They also give you this back board here, and they give you these little wiring harnesses there as well. But look, this is the nicest one I've seen. I've seen some before and they were plastic. I've not seen a CNC one before. The finish is really tidy. Really tidy. And they also have some ND filters that they sell for it as well, which I haven't even opened yet. I'll be taking a look at that. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some tests on this. Still heavier than an Action 2. Yeah, let's have a look at the weight, shall we? So we have an Action 2 here. Let's look at the weight. The Flywoo kit is plastic. Yeah, the original one is. The new one is CNC. So, should we check it in real time? So an Action 2, 56 grams. 48 grams. But you're going to need to put the bracket on as well. So let's grab the bracket. We won't worry about the screws. Yeah, well, it's made of CNC aluminium, isn't it? So, Action 2, 55. Yeah, well, the cable's got to go on your quad. Yeah. There's always white stuff on my scales. So, yeah, you got to put the 51. Yeah, I guess you just toss that bag on, don't you? So, 56. So, it's coming in the same as an Action 2. Does the screw spacing fit the fingers from a standard GoPro mount? That one should. That one should. I haven't actually tested it. Let me find a quad with the GoPro mount on. It should. 2 seconds. Here we go. Yes, it does. It's tight. It's going into TPU, mind on this. It's tight, but yes, it does. Yes. So, you know, look, you're coming in at what? Basically the same weight as an Action 2 for the GoPro. Yeah. And you're going to put more than that with a mount, because that doesn't include a mount. And the battery will be flat in about 13 seconds because it is DJI after all. Yeah, yes, there are different mounting options in the kit. It's not bad. Now, if you look on their website, they do sell its desktop. Action 2 weight and better picture. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. And look, I've always put up with the Action 2 picture quality for the size and weight. So, yeah, Super Deluxe hit the nail on the head. You've got Action 2 weight with the GoPro picture quality, and that's a win. Look, if you want out-and-out weightless, you're not going to want it CNC. That's for sure. You know, you're not going to want CNC if you want it as light as you can possibly get it. But I think it is interesting to see. I hate my Action 2 picture. It's all right in the right conditions. That's the big problem with the Action 2. The AGC is horrible on it, and it is very noisy in low light. It's okay. But yeah, so, yeah, they actually do the kit as well on its own. So the kit is available for £75 in the UK. So it is available as a kit, which includes the aluminium bits. So yeah, rather interesting indeed. Flywoo have definitely upped their game. Definitely upped their game. Big style. Everything I've seen, the build quality on these FCs is outstanding. This kit looks really nice as well. So, that's that. I'll be talking about it in a week. I need to get it out and test it. G Strondy's just had a question. I am having trouble getting my HTX set up with an ARM switch. Throttle not work without the switch. Throttle to not work without the switch. No FC. It's an RC boat on PWM. Could you show how to do that? Just explain what you mean again. I'm having trouble. So what you want is the switch to disable the throttle. Is that what you're saying? And if that's the case, there's a real simple way of doing that. And I would just do override with a special function. Yes, switch to disable the throttle. You can do that in the mode as well. There's several different ways of doing it. But the quickest way, and what I would do, is just use a special function for that. What I would do is do that on a special function. On a special function is probably what I would do. But you can set... My T16 thinks it's a Mambo. Yeah, you can set it in the mixer, but the override special function is the easiest for sure. All I would do, the quickest way I would do this, is literally go through to special functions. This isn't the... What radio did you say you've got? What radio have you got? It's not the easiest to see on this with a colour screen. Let me just grab something else that's a bit easier to see it on. Sorry, let me just grab a boxer. Pocket! Ah. Let's do it on a pocket. Look how bright that display is. I need to turn the brightness down on that. Let's just go into system and turn that brightness down. And then we'll move on. Give me 2 minutes, guys. We will do this. I'll show how I would do this. There we go. Okay, so turn the brightness down. So all I would do is go into model, scroll along to special functions, create a special function. So just press. So you choose your switch. So you choose your switch. So we want to say SA in. Overrides your throttle channel. And then set it to -100. And then hit the little box at the end. And that's it. That's literally it. So you need to make sure that the override is for the right channel, that your throttle is. So you're setting your switch to override throttle to -100 and enable it. It is that simple. And then if we, what was my throttle on this? I didn't actually look. Annoying. It is... Right. I've not got it on the right channel, but if you look here, right, channel 1 is roll. It's working normally at the moment. If I press the button, you can see it's ignored and it's at -100. So that's my arm disarm. So all you do is set it like that. So for me, it should actually be channel 3 is what I should have done. So what I should do is go back into here, go all the way through, and I should have gone to the backwards way of getting to it. there. And then what we're going to do is that to override, and I'm going to have it so it's out. Override channel 3. There we go. And now if you look, my throttle isn't working at all. And now if I put the button in, which is my armed, my throttle is working fine. That is by far the quickest way of doing it. That's how I would do it. Now I got to remember to delete that or my radio won't work. Let me just do that before I move on. Did I get the SkyRC B6 Neo charger? Any thoughts if 608 PD going to support storage and discharge function? Oh, my battery's running low on this. Right, let me just delete this before I forget, because I'll be going to use this radio and wondering why it isn't working properly, and then I'll be sitting there going, huh?
Transmitter battery low.
Clear. There we go. Sorted. Sorted. Oh, no. I haven't seen the AC, not the new one. No, I haven't. I haven't. Right. Moving on. Moving on to the next question. What else did I put in the doc? I can't remember. Is it time for my rant on OpenIPC yet? I think it is. I think it is. Yes, we've done that. We've done that. Yes, it's time for my rant. Okay. So, it was fairly well publicized that I was going to be taking a look at OpenIPC, and my intention is the same. That hasn't changed, although I have hit a few roadblocks. Now, I ordered all of the recommended gear as per what was being said. So, for instance, if I go to the overhead, we have, this is all bench testing at the moment. So, we have the DVR, which turns out cannot support up to 120 frames a second. Only found that out after the fact, I may add. But this is the DVR board. It's all in bench test setup. We then have a Wi-Fi module, and we have a BEC to power the Wi-Fi module, because the Wi-Fi module only works on 3.3 volts. Now, we then have the camera side. Now, the cameras are based on IP cameras that are using varying chipsets, but the main chipset is by GORK or GOKG or E, and it is an IP camera. Yeah, that NVR is 60 frames a second max. Yes, I know. Wasn't told that originally. And this supports reflashing of the ROM chip, which is located down here, with an open source firmware. Now, my initial order everything in came to about $70, $80. And someone's asked, why is everything so cheap? The reason all of this is so cheap is because it is commodity parts used in the CCTV industry. The DVR board is designed to allow you to make a IP-based DVR. The camera boards are designed to make cameras for CCTV. It is wildly inexpensive. The cameras are like $20, $30. The Wi-Fi adapters are like $8, although they're not the best in the world. And the DVR is like $17 or $18. So you can put a system together for about $70, $80. Okay, that can be done. However, that is just one part of it. You then have the process of flashing the firmware. Now, flashing the NVR is fairly straightforward. Flashing the camera is less so. Okay, it is a fairly complicated process because the cameras come with a firmware on board, and I will talk about that a bit more in a second. The firmware needs to be replaced, and then when replaced, you will then install OpenIPC, and you'll sort of have to do it via a back door. And it isn't a click and install process. It is all command line through Linux, through UART, through PuTTY. You're connecting to it via PuTTY. You're then doing it via command line, and then you're basically sort of cheating the firmware, because what you do is this. You tell the camera to run off a sort of downloaded version of the firmware first of all, but that isn't stored inside. You do SSH afterwards, not quite early doors. You have to do that later. You actually have to do it via PuTTY, via UART. What you do is you first of all have to basically get the camera to run a version of OpenIPC without installing it on the camera, and then you use that to force flash the ROM. Now, that all sounds fantastic, and I did do that initially until I let me rephrase it, burnt out my first camera on the bench. It was an accident in a bench testing setup. I then ordered new cameras, and I've been struggling for about a month and a half to get these new cameras to flash. And what it turns out is that camera manufacturers are starting to lock the ROM on these cameras. So whilst they all come with U-boot, the original early ones seem to have had U-boot unlocked. The later ones are now having a locked U-boot ROM, which, as far as I can tell, you can't get around. So, what I ended up then having to do, let me get it, is take my old camera, which is here, unsolder the ROM chip, so hottie unsolder the ROM chip off my original camera, and replace the ROM chip that came on this camera. This one here has the ROM chip from the original camera, and then reflash it. I had to reflash it because they're actually slightly different SoCs, although I'm now concerned because having updated this via the update process, it now seems to have flashed it again with the original firmware, although it still seems to be working. So, the process is frankly horrible for end users. It is not a process that is easy to do. Okay? The process is all command line. If you don't know Linux, you got no hope. And basically, what you will find is if you need help, and this could be my experience because I have been quite vocal about this project already, but if you need help, good luck, because the overall attitude of the project that I have seen so far is if you don't know what you're doing, then you shouldn't be doing it. And that's me being nice. Now, there are users that are helping people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying people aren't. But the overall opinion from the project itself seems to be, if you don't know what you're doing, you really shouldn't be doing it, or go learn Linux. Now, some of that might have been because of how vocal I was, and other people may have had a different experience. I have not got the best relationship with the dev team, to say the least. There was, when I gave my opinions, which I'm going to give again in a minute, they were less than welcoming as a result of that. Today, I feel the project is in a freaking mess in the sense of it is all driven in Slack. It's all... it's not in Slack. Sorry, it's all driven out of Telegram. There's no easy groups. There's documentation, but half the documentation is wrong because stuff has changed and it hasn't been updated. Now, I will add, Curry Kitten has done an incredible job of putting out a video and some documentation on how to do it, but it has already changed since he's done that, as far as I can tell. What there also isn't is any good info on things like when you hit a brick wall. So if you hit a brick wall, you'll just be like, what do I do next? So today the project is at best a college dorm room project. I've seen no evidence anywhere that the project intends to make this easier to do. Now, there is a YouTube channel that keeps posting videos telling you how amazing it is and telling you cheap FPV is coming, 3K camera, 4K, cheapest 120 frames a second system on the market. Look, what you're seeing right now is a marketing campaign which is all noise and no substance, frankly. Now, It's a proof of concept, potentially, but I'm not even sure it's that, because you've got to take into account everything you're being shown is being very carefully done in a certain way. Now, unfortunately, or fortunately, yesterday I got everything sorted, and then unfortunately, the Wi-Fi adapter set itself on fire. And I have got pictures of this. One of the two Wi-Fi adapters literally on the bench set itself on fire. And if you think I'm joking, I'm not. I'm going to find the images because I want to show you the images because it is horrific, frankly. Right, so let me find the first one. So, we think it probably overheated because they do this. And I took the cover off and it had basically set itself on fire. And to give you an idea of how badly it went up, let me find the other images. So that is one of the ICs. That is one of the other ICs. Let me show you this one. This is a good one. It actually melted the side of the main one. And it melted the whole main IC. It literally had flames coming out of it on the bench. So, I've now had to order more Wi-Fi adapters because it set itself on fire. Oh, yeah. Oh, did it smell? That's an understatement. Did I not cool it on the bench? No, because I didn't think it was that hot at the time. Not that one. What I didn't realize that one got so hot because I was testing some other stuff as I was doing it. I do need to get some decent cards. These are the bench testing cards. John, if you've got a recommended set, tell me what you recommend for flight. So I'm waiting on a set of Wi-Fi adapters again. I think it went on fire. It literally, it did go on fire. I was sitting here, right? And I was sorting the camera out because what I forgot was, like, I was reflashing the camera ROM after swapping the ROM over with hot air, and I powered it all up and forgot I'd powered up the VTX as well, the transmitter. So it was all here, and I had the camera on there, and I sit there, and next minute I go, course, something doesn't smell good. And then next minute, and literally I just had a flame come out the top there, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay, you're on fire now. So, yes, that board is a dead one. But yes, I do need to get some... Oh, I'm going to... it just decided... I thought at first my back over-voltaged it, is what I thought at first. I'm just copying what you've said there, John. Thank you for that. I'm going to store that in downloads. I thought the back had over-voltaged it. So far... I've spent more time than I've ever spent on any other than CaddX. I've wasted more time on CaddX, I should say, probably. But no, look, I'm trying to get it up and running so we get to the stage. What I'm going to say is this, guys. Don't fall for the marketing BS on this right now. So, apparently... they are working on their own in-house hardware. That is great. If it ever happens, let's see it. Then let's see what the cost looks like. Then let's see what the reality of that looks like for users. OpenHD has its own hardware as well. OpenHD does have hardware coming in the very near future. I'm just copying that. Notepad. I just want to store that in Notepad. and store this in Notepad as well. OpenHD does have boards coming too. I haven't cooked the Radio Master desk pad. No, I didn't. Open. Let me save that. There we go. Done. No, I didn't cook the Radio Master desk pad. So, I'm still working on it. But look, guys, don't fall for the marketing nonsense. This is... Neither of these systems will ever... Okay, ever's a loose word. Don't expect to see anything great from any of these anytime soon. OpenHD has some really promising stuff that I've seen, but they're not running around telling you how amazing the system is. With regards to OpenIPC today, this is very much a DIY project at best. It is, you know, there is potential here. However, without custom cameras, the doors on this are already closing because number one, right? These cameras are now coming with, many of them are coming with locked bootloaders, which means you can't flash them. Number two, you can't even get these cameras now easily on AliExpress. If you go to AliExpress, right, and let me show you this, right? You go to AliExpress and search for IP camera module, right? There are hardly any coming up like there used to be. There used to be loads of camera modules coming up for these. They're not coming up anymore. That isn't it. That is just a camera. So something is also going on with this. The camera modules are just not available like they were. Type recommended. They're just not there. Now, this one, is that one of them? I did look earlier. There is also a specific, like, for instance, if I go into my cart, right, here is the price of a kit. And here is one of the cameras that is available. One. So this is one with the human detection two-way audio network camera H265. So if you look, this camera has the same chipset on it. So this is one of them. But there are not many showing up at the moment. And even when you search for what this is, they're just not showing available now. So I do wonder what's going on, why there's a lack of cameras up. So when it comes to OpenIPC today, I keep seeing people saying, oh, when is it going to be out? When are you going to talk about it? Guys, this will not likely be a viable system for at least 2-3 years as it stands today. 3 things need to change. Number one, hardware needs to be available properly. So someone has to make it. Now, a Chinese manufacturer may do that. There's nothing to say one of the Chinese manufacturers wouldn't get on board with making cameras and stuff. Number 2, the project needs to improve dramatically in how they handle even the setup. The UI, the controls, the functionality. Everything today is command line. Changing the mode, changing it. And I've seen no real movement to change that. OpenHD has nothing to do with OpenIPC. Correct. They're 2 separate projects. OpenHD had a bit of a reset. Let me just get my throat lubricated. OpenHD is its own project, but they're now going down the road of producing their own hardware. But to do that isn't cheap. But look, there is a lot that has to change before this gets anywhere near. So before anyone keeps thinking it is OpenIPC the express LRS of control of digital FPV, no. Is OpenHD the express LRS of digital FPV? No. None of these projects are ever really going to do anything like DJI or Avatar HD. They're just not. Now, that isn't to say there isn't a place for them. That isn't to say you are not going to have some form of open HD system, but it is fundamentally different doing video than it is doing an RC control link. If you look at why does Express LRS exist? Because the ESP32 exists. That's why. The ESP32 and the LoRa front-end chipsets. That is why Express LRS exists. Without those two, it wouldn't exist. There really still is no chipset for digital video that can do it all. And it's just I don't believe there will ever be a fully, like we saw with Express. Bren, he's being too harsh. OpenSea isn't a product, it's a project. No, but it's being fucking sold as a product to everyone on YouTube and Facebook, being told that everything is amazing, it's the best, cheapest digital FPV system on the market. So if it's not a fucking product, then the dev team need to stop selling it as one, because that's what they're doing. And if you want my real thoughts on it, is there is lies, bullshit, and crap being spread around by the dev team that is causing people to go out there and suddenly say, oh, look, this is amazing. It's going to replace everything. OpenHD are not doing anything like that. So if you want to say I'm being harsh, I ain't started. If you want me to be harsh, I'll be harsh, because right now I'm trying to be as nice as I can about a project that has some interesting potential. However, it is largely being missold by the people involved, and that is the truth. However, that isn't to say that it isn't capable of being something interesting. It isn't, though, going to replace DJI, Avatar HD, or HDZero. It might get close. It might get people to within, having a thing. But what you've got to take into account, this project today is completely based on off-the-shelf commodity hardware. That is already starting to dry up. So it's going to need its own hardware. And then when you go down the road of your own hardware, the costs go through the roof. Then you're in the position of it suddenly costing, similar to HDZero, suddenly costing the same as HDZero. And this actually leads me quite interestingly onto HDZero, because there's rumors of a new, cheaper version of HDZero around the corner. We are going to see, there is a new Whoop that's launching with an analog HD camera from the seams of it, and it is going to be a new way of getting HDZero even cheaper. So again, where do you go with this? Where's the limit? How cheap? Look, time is money, right? So if you're going to talk about a digital FPV system that doesn't cost a lot, then you have to then take into account how much time am I spending putting that into real world. So first, take Express LRS. You can go and buy a module, flash it in 20 seconds. I can buy a receiver for $10, flash it in about 35 seconds and be on the field flying. That is bang on. This is 5 hours of messing around. And I don't know what your time is worth, but I can promise you my time is, that would put my time very much into the cost of DJI. It never used to be, no, agreed. But the project made it that easy. And unless the project starts to make it easy, then it's doomed. And all I've seen today is the project remain only interested in doing it the way it's done. Command line, there's no packaging, there's no improvements to how it's delivered. Everyone's running around at the moment doing different things. It's not cohesive. Half of the project isn't even in English, which doesn't help us. Nothing against Russia. It's a Russian-based project. That's fine. But that makes it very difficult for people as well. You know, look, you've got to take that into account. The project's based in Russia, largely. And that does make it difficult. You know, it's not an English-based project, which adds complexity. What are the negative points about Express ELRS? Binding. There's me throwing a hand grenade in. But they fixed it, so I can't even complain about that. So, look, OpenIPC today. It's I don't even know what to call it. But don't get fooled by the marketing crap that is being spread around. Let's see where it ends up. It's going to take some years. There is huge potential in any open source FPV system. We all like open source FPV. The idea of it is amazing. But what's more important, sitting on the bench and messing with gear and burning stuff out, or actually buying a product that allows you to fly and get your bloody aircraft back? And look, don't underestimate the value of how reliable is this stuff? Is it worth losing an aircraft over? And that is my one big last point on this, right? I burnt an air unit out on... I burnt a Wi-Fi module out on the bench. How important is your FPV feed? Because I'm not being funny, right? For me, it's the one thing I don't want to risk. RC Link and FPV. Look, you need them working. And your motors, obviously. So, that's my thought on it today. And look, you know, I'm not going to be the nicest person about the project until the project really starts to deliver and changes the way it's marketing itself. Because today, the project is marketing itself. It is, at best, exaggerating. At worst, out and out misleading. And that's it. Only noobs burn stuff out. If you're not burning it out, you're not doing it properly. If you're not crashing, you're not doing it properly. If you're not burning it out, you're not learning. I wouldn't have got where I was over the years without burning loads of stuff out. That's how you learn. No one ever did something right. I didn't provide cooling. No, but I didn't know I needed to, and it wasn't running that hot. It still burnt itself out. It doesn't matter if the cooling came off. What if your heatsink came off in flight? What if the airflow got caught out in flight? What's it going to do? Set your aircraft on fire? Is that acceptable? That's a reality. It literally went on fire. So you've got to take that into account. That's one of the lower power. Yeah, it's something. I think these are the they get incredibly hot considering they're doing about 60 milliwatts. I thought someone said. So that's where it is today. I'm never going to be popular on this, but I'm telling you the bloody truth as far as I see it. People can agree, they can disagree, but that is how it is. I don't like shitting all over open source projects, but I also don't like how some of the stuff is being done, and it is misleading people. And I am not the only creator who is constantly being asked about this because of advertising. What do I think? So, that's the OpenIPC bit out the way. catching up on the questions. Now, let me just make sure I haven't missed any super chats. That should not need cooling. Even the AC56 doesn't have any cooling, and it's a commercial USB stick from the factory that does 500 milliwatts. Oh, I have missed a super chat from S. $9. Sorry, let's start again. Right, I want to say a big thank you to S. Congrats on the 50k. We're going to talk about the 50k at the end. £9.99. Thank you, my friend. I really do appreciate it. That's incredible. Just catching. It must have been in the documentation, right? Yeah. Yeah, well, look, mistakes happen. I don't really care that's happened. But what it isn't is, you know, look, if I'm burning stuff out, a lot of people are going to have no hope. I do like to burn stuff out, though. Yeah, not very user-friendly is an understatement. And look, if you want to see what it's like to set up, Curry Kitten has a fantastic video. He genuinely does. He's a great guy. Look, he's made the video I would have made once I got it all up and running. If you haven't seen, if you want to have a hint of what you need to do, right, go to Curry Kitten. Curry Kitten has a full setup guide on how to do it. That's what you need to look at. Part 1, he has a video which is how long? Let me mute it. Wait for it to get past the advert. AC56. We gotta wait for the adverts. For Dune. For Dune. So he's got a 10-minute video, which is quite good. And he walks through the process. Oh, no, what he's using. Sorry, that's not the setup. That isn't. Part 2, flashing the firmware. He put out a 1 hour and 14-minute video on what you need to do. And he walks you through the whole process. And it isn't. He walks you through how to do it with putty. And look, it's not difficult. But look, I'm not a software guy. Software is, and when I mean this, what I'm not, I am far from an expert in Linux. I'm just not. I don't do enough of it. I'm one of these people, like, I get quite proficient, to say the least, with it. And then I don't use it again. I don't have YouTube Premium. No, I don't, Bobby. I get really proficient at it, and then I don't use it for 6 months, and I forget everything I've learned. You might mention the results that are achieved by other OpenIPC users. I've seen very little other than the marketing material, Alex. So I've not seen anything. He did, John, and it's a lot of it. Some of it's already changed as well, as I found out yesterday. Some of it has changed already. Unfortunately, this blocked ROM thing is a pain in the ass as well. So the U-boot that needs a password. And the ways around it don't work on any. I've got 2 cameras here with U-boot, locked U-boot ROMs with passwords, and I can't get past them. Personally, as a creator, I think YouTube should give me premium for free. But they don't. So no, I don't have premium. I don't mind watching ads. Look, I would not be able to run this channel without ads. Why should I be upset about watching ads for other creators? It's the reality of the world. I take a real simple view on ads. I could not run this channel without them. Why would I not want to support a creator I watch and not at least watch the minimum level of ads? What does annoy the crap out of me with YouTube is when it seems to... You watch an ad on a video and then you skip forward to, like, you want to get to, like, the middle bit. And then it puts an ad up again. So you watch an ad and then you get a second ad. And I'm like, cheers for that. Those of us who are a certain age are used to ads. All my children in the 80s ads to get stuff. Yeah, look, I can't ever be upset over ads. I couldn't run... Look, I'll keep it really basic on that. I'm really lucky because we have the Patreons, and the Patreons massively help. But the Patreons alone are not enough. Without ads, this channel has... If YouTube stopped ad revenue tomorrow, I would have a huge, huge problem. And I don't know what we would do. So I can't complain about ads. I just can't. Yeah. Not to mention premium pays the ad. It's minuscule though. The ad revenue off premium is tiny. It's not the same. If you stopped everyone watching ads and replaced it and everyone bought premium, every creator would be worse off. You don't get the same amount of money on premium as you do on an ad. Because remember, ads are bidded. So you have a CPM. So your ad is dependent on the interest of your channel. So some ads will be high, some ads will be low. And there's one reason why I don't use a very simple reason I also don't use mid-rolls on this channel. Mid-rolls watered down the value of the ad spot at the start of your video, because you have but the parts you receive for free that you resell. I don't resell anything. I have never resold a single item that I've been sent on this channel. I either have given it away or I have everything. I don't resell a single thing. Every item I have ever been sent, I have here. Always gone back to the manufacturer. One of the two. Some stuff goes back, some stuff doesn't. Nothing has ever been resold. That's why I was able to go over there and pull out the pocket. That's why I can go and pull out every radio that I've had sent, I've needed. Look, a lot of the time you need this stuff because someone might ask you something and you have to go and get it. It's also not worth the hassle. To be honest, you wouldn't make enough money. Could sell. Yeah, no, it's not worth the hassle. It's just not. What was I going to say? Yeah, so when you have mid-rolls on your channel, mid-rolls actually sort of devalue your first ad position, because the way ads work is it's bidding. You know, people bid for the ads on your channel. So if you have mid-rolls on, you're basically, in theory, you think, oh, I can have twice as many ads. You can, but then you make those ads worth less money. And whilst you may get more money, it might be 5% more, not 100% more. And you really annoy your audience. And that's why I don't do mid-rolls. You'll notice this channel does not have mid-roll ads. The only time I have on some very long videos stuck an ad in the middle, and I mean like the 50-minute ones, but that's rare. But yeah, you know, your CPM is based on what your ads are worth on your channel. I don't even know what my CPM is these days. I don't even know how you find the CPM now. YouTube seems to have changed it. I've earned 55 pence in shorts this in the last year. 55p on shorts in the last 12 months. CTR, yeah, that's the problem. They've changed it, isn't it? I found RPM, but they keep changing stuff. So I look for 2023. What I'll say is this. When I was young, I had to lay under my dad's car to change a gearbox. That's how I learned. Yeah, that's how I learned as well. I'm just looking, this is quite funny. I earned 55p in revenue on shorts last year. That's funny. That's funny. Here's something interesting. It was an interesting video. For those who saw, Lexi put a video out this week just talking about her last 12 months on YouTube. It's quite an interesting video, actually. If you haven't seen it, it's interesting, but it's also a bit weird as well. In the sense of Lexi does things Marley on High in it. I can't remember what her YouTube channel is. Lexi Jansen. She did a video about how much YouTube made her in 2023. There we go. She's got her thing here. Because obviously Lexi's in YouTube. Marley on High. I couldn't remember what it was. And I think it's interesting when you look at it. She works in FPV now. And her revenue is very low for a channel of that size. It just is this reality from what I've seen. It's quite interesting. It's a good video to watch, and I do strongly suggest you go and have a look at it, because everyone thinks YouTubers make loads of money, and it really isn't the case. But she's got a channel of 26,000 subs, and what she was just showing on her video is that she got 225,000 views, 8,000 watch time hours, and she got 2,500 subscribers, and that earned her €500 last year. And look, that's a little low for that channel. Her drone flying skills absolutely, she is really, really very, very good pilot. What I found interesting is, and I don't know for sure, but this is sort of the difference between running a YouTube channel for exposure and running a YouTube channel with what I would call evergreen content. And just to give you an idea, at 26,000 subs, I was a lot higher than this. And I mean a lot higher than this with regards to views. Now, just to give you an idea, I'm not going to show it up on the screen because I don't particularly want to share my analytics. But we are a channel that just hit 50,000. Let me just open this, and just to give you an idea, because there is some interesting differences on a channel that's built about the content and a channel that's built sort of to get exposure for what she does. And it's got her a full-time job. It's definitely worked, I think. But what is interesting is the views, the subscribers mean nothing in the end. And what it shows, subscribers, we've just hit 50k. It's incredible. And it gets me onto the 50k really nicely. And it's incredible. But that number doesn't mean anything if you don't back it up with the content. And that's interesting. Like, I'm a much bigger channel than she is now. So she's like half the size of this. But it wasn't last year. You got to remember that. We were only probably 10,000 ahead of her last year. But we have a very different sizing and viewership. So, for instance, my views for last year were 2.8 million. Okay, so that's how many views this channel had last year. We had 296,000 watch time hours. That's the two interesting differences. So even if you halved my channel, I'd be at like 1 million views last year compared to 225. But the difference is this shows the different ways you use a YouTube channel. You know, you're either using it for content or you're using it for exposure. And what it really shows is the difference between them. You know, and look, she's a great pilot. She's doing really good things. And again, I strongly suggest you watch the video. What's interesting is you don't actually get that much more money for thing. But when you look at the difference, you know, we're talking 225K to 2.8 million, which is just you know, and that's the difference between making content and sort of just using it as a platform. But yeah, I strongly suggest you check out the video because it is interesting watching. It really is. And look, she's a great asset to FPV. She's a bloody good pilot as well. So you really do consider checking it out. Just catching down on the chat. I had a bit of a shock when we looked at the watch hours for last year. When I saw it was like 2.8 million. That actually shocked me. But that's over a very, very large content base. And that's the key. If you want to run a YouTube channel, you need a very big breadth of content because that is what gets the views. Just catching down on the chat. Too bad you don't get a quid for every time someone came here to tell you how much money you make. Yeah, I wish. You're a teacher. Yeah, you produce a lot more content. I do. And Wes said, whoa, 50K. Her views have dropped over the last year type. Yeah, I think she's working a lot, isn't she? She's doing a lot of piloting. Evening. How are you, Dave? Hope you're well. Dean, hey guys, how are you? ExpressRS news, they just added TX module feature for supporting PPM handsets. Has anyone got a but why gif? The PPM is the future. Sorry, I couldn't. But why gif? I was just. I couldn't resist that one. Right, guys, if you've got any questions, please do put them in the chat before we wrap this one up. That's pretty much it from me tonight. So I've upset everyone over at IPC. We've talked about this. So what's coming next? Okay, so tomorrow will be a review on a flight controller that has been sold that I'm not allowed to talk about, yet people have ordered it. So if you've ordered yourself something along the lines of a wing flight controller from a manufacturer that has a B in its name, you might see a video on it tomorrow because there was an embargo. You then might see a video on the remote controller this week. That embargo is the 14th, I think. One's the 12th, one's the 14th. I'm losing track. But why? But the reviews are out. Yes, don't even go there. I don't break embargoes, unlike many, many other people. So you'll have to wait and see. I wouldn't get too excited, I'll be honest. There's not a huge amount to get excited over in any of those videos. Although, yeah, no. Just touching ExpressRS. Have I had any experience with Maverick RC? Not fully yet. It's something I need to spend some time on because I have someone else I need to help with it as well. I just haven't had time. I'm just really struggling on time at the moment. I just haven't had time. I haven't done a lot with it yet. I know the guys are working on some new stuff around that as well. Looking forward to Deadpool 3, as am I. Right. I want to say a huge thank you for everyone who has watched the stream tonight. I really appreciate it. I want to say a thank you for the super chat. I just want to make sure there isn't any more that I've missed. No, I haven't. Thank you to all of the Patreons. We hit 50k this week. It's incredible. It is amazing. I'm not making much fuss about it. It is what it is. The channel continues to grow. I really do appreciate the support everyone gives. The size helps when dealing with vendors, and that's what the size does. What the size does is give us credence with vendors. And that is the great thing. So look, huge thank you from me to all of the Patreons, all of the channel members, everyone who supported the channel through donations, and just anyone who said kind things and anyone who said horrible things. If you said horrible things, thank you and sod off. But anyways, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone. Oh, thank you, Dave. That's incredible. Thank you for that. 100k next. I don't even know what we're at. 50k sort of went straight across, and we were like at 50. I think it was like at 51 before the next. There is this exponential curve that sort of happens, and it was like we went up, we went down, we went up, we went down, and then we went well past. I think we were on like 50.3. I'm sure it was at 51 when I looked at one point. I've probably lost them already. Let me just have a quick look. Wrong button. My numbers do look a little bit different to everybody else's. It might have been 50.3. It might have been me talking crap. Oh, yeah, sorry, 50.3. Yeah, we went a couple of hundred over. So, Ian the British Bardwell, just better looking, handsome, and less American. Anyways, look after yourself, stay safe. I will speak to you again, same time, same place next week. Au revoir.